Hey, hope you guys are enjoying your last week as high school students. Today we are going to round out our conversation about fiscal policy. We're going to talk about monetary policy, which monetary policy, guys, is basically the money supply. So a country saying, okay, this is how much money we want to have out in circulation that people can use to buy things. And so the government, they shape these policies um, in an attempt to control the economy is really the purpose of that. Okay, and so it used to not really be that way to a real large extent. The government used to kind of shy away from that. They didn't want to really interfere with the economy, but when the Great Depression rolled around and we needed um, to really kind of stimulate the economy, that's when they started saying, okay, we're going to um, kind of take more license to try and control some of these things. Okay, and so that's really when it changed, and since then, that's kind of been our focus. Was right around that time of the Great Depression. And so the government always has three goals, guys, when they're trying to attempt to control the economy. And those three goals are one, full employment. That everyone's employed. Obviously, employment um, is good for the economy. You want really, really low unemployment, really high employment. Obviously, we're struggling with that right now, but that's something that the government's working towards. And then they also are trying to create stable prices. So they don't want prices to fluctuate up and down, up and down. Um, so they want to keep those fairly stable, and so that'll help keep the economy as a whole stable. And then finally, economic growth, guys. They do want to see economic growth, but they don't want a sharp spike because usually you have that sharp spike, you have a sharp downturn as well. So they want to see a nice steady growth over time is really what they're pushing for. Um, and so one of the big tools that they have to control these things, especially the monetary policy, the money supply, is the Federal Reserve, which many people call just the Fed. Okay, so the Fed, guys, it works towards those goals um, using the supply of money. And so the three major tools that the Fed uses to control that supply of money is one, open market operations, two, reserve requirements, and three, discount rates. And so open market operations, guys, that basically means where they're buying and selling government bonds, okay, on the open market. And so the thinking behind it is, okay, we want to decrease the money supply. We're going to go out and we're going to buy a bunch of government bonds. The Federal Reserve is. And so, I'm sorry, that would increase, that would create an increase, right? Because they're buying up the bonds. That means they're spending the money. The money's being put out there on the market. And so there's more money to use to operate with for different capital and investments and things like that. If they want to decrease the money supply, they will sell more government bonds. They'll try and sell more government bonds and then hold that money. Reserve requirements, guys, that's pretty self-explanatory. The Federal Reserve requires banks to keep back so much money that they can't loan out. They have to keep it on hand just in case. So obviously, if you want less money in circulation, you raise the reserve requirements. If you want more money out in circulation, that they can have more money available to them to loan out, then they can lower the reserve requirements. And then finally, the discount rates, guys, that's just the rates that banks pay to get money from the Federal Reserve. Um, so money that they can loan out and things like that. And so just like we have banks for our businesses, these smaller banks, they get loans essentially from the Federal Reserve. And so that way the Federal Reserve is able to dictate interest rates, right? So obviously the banks have to make a profit from their interest rate, but they're also going off of um, the Federal Reserve rate. So if the Federal Reserve is charging them so much, say 2% interest, then they can set that at over 2% interest to make money, right? Um, Obviously, if the Federal Reserve increases its rates, they have to increase their interest rate. So from over 2% to 5%, right? And so that obviously will um, allow for more or less loans as well, right? So people are less likely to take out a loan if the interest rate is 8%. Um, so that's going to obviously mean less money out in circulation that people are spending because you typically take out a loan to buy something, to spend that money on something. So that's the thinking there. So that does it, guys, for our look at fiscal policy, kind of how the government manages money and the economy and all that. I'd like to just give a shout out to you seniors and wish you all the best. I know you guys have had a rough go of it as far as luck. I know you didn't want to finish your senior year out this way. Um, you'd rather probably be with your classmates this last week, kind of enjoying their company, reliving some of your funner moments in school. But we just have to kind of keep on going and persevere. And I'm always going to have a special place for you guys in my heart. You were my first group to go sophomore, junior, senior. Before that I had seventh, eighth, and then I didn't see people until they were juniors. So you're my first group to go all the way through sophomore, junior, senior, just to see that 3-year period. Um, it's really fun to see you guys grow like that. So really appreciate you guys, and if you need anything, don't hesitate to get a hold of me. So you guys, special crew. So appreciate you. Thanks.